Hey, this is Groovey. I'm at Breckenridge Brewery. I'm here with Robert Elrod, illustrator, artist, and general just rad dude. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, thanks. How you doing?
I'm freaking awesome. I'm stoked. Having some beers, hanging out.
Always a good time.
So, for someone who hasn't experienced your work yet, I mean, give me your history and what you're all about.
Well, I'm a self-taught artist. No college, completely self-taught. I work in pencil, color pencil, ink, gouache, acrylic, watercolor, color. Did I say color pencil already? Anyway, digital. I do digital painting as well.
Okay.
So, kind of across the board.
Do you prefer analog or digital?
I prefer both, and I like to mix them too. Okay. So, you know, doing a pencil drawing and then digitally coloring it, or painting over the top of it digitally, or doing an ink drawing and adding digital color to that as well.
That's awesome. So what are some samples of your work? We have a whole bunch of stuff here. Tell me about this.
Well, I'm going to start off by talking about comics. I did some self-published comics several years ago, and this is Volume 1 and Volume 2 of a book called Tickling a Dead Man, Stories About George. These are some stories that I did myself. I'm not a writer technically, but you know, these I did myself so I could have complete control and fun with them. I got a little guy in here that sees monsters around his house, but no one else sees them, and they are constantly torturing him, and it's kind of fun and
That's awesome.
awful at the same time. So these are some I did a few
How
years
did George die?
Broken heart.
Aww.
Actually, I have a very brutal scene in here where he is just destroyed, if you want to see that. He falls from this cloud and falls onto these stairs, and it's pretty awful. Pretty awful.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal.
Yeah, but he doesn't stay dead in the stories, of course.
Oh, okay.
So I did those a few years ago, and then I did a collected version with some additional pinups and a new cover and that sort of thing.
Nice.
So,
That's for the updated version?
yeah.
Okay.
And then I've got a book called Sloppy Seconds that collects some short work that has appeared elsewhere,
Okay.
hence the name, Sloppy Seconds.
Well played, sir.
Yeah, so that's a digital painting there. And then these books here, Best New Zombie Tales, Volumes 1, 2, and 3, Best New Vampire Tales, and Best New Werewolf Tales all have short comics that I did, and they're 3 pages apiece.
Oh, wow.
And then the rest of the books are short prose horror stories.
Okay.
So that's what those are here for.
So, I mean, you're basically in the whole collection here.
Yeah, I've got a short at the beginning of each book.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So, in addition to comics, I taught myself to paint and, like I said, digitally and analog. So I've been doing covers for lots of independent authors. This book is written by a local author, Lucas Holmes.
Okay.
And this is Volume 1 of 4.
Cool.
First 2 are out. The third one I'm working on the cover now. It's written, and book 4 I believe he's writing now.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's very
local
cool.
Colorado author there. And
Pick that up.
Young adult, middle grade book.
Okay.
So it's written for younger audience.
That's perfect for Matthew.
Yeah, and it's science fiction. Nice. And then most of the work I've been doing though has been horror, in the horror realm.
That seems to be where your love is a little bit of horror action there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I may not be right in the head, but that's some horror books. Did the covers for those. Lots of zombie stuff. This is kind of where I started out in doing book covers. Somebody saw that I was doing zombie art and called me up, and we started doing these. And
Are you a big fan of zombies?
I am. I think that we might have hit the ceiling on the popularity, though. But
Yeah, me too.
I
And I think Brad Pitt's movie is just going to destroy it, but that's just
have the same foreboding. Yes.
That trailer's horrible.
And speaking of zombies,
Speaking of zombies,
Z Magazine. I've got artwork in these 2 issues. The
see,
first
I
one-
had no idea there was zombie lifestyle magazines.
Yes, written from the zombie perspective for zombies. All the ads, all the stories are with zombies. You know, there's parodies of products, and it's a lot of fun.
Where's the magazine out of?
The author is, the editor and author lives in the Seattle area.
Oh, okay.
But they're open for submissions, and they get contributors from all around the country.
That's awesome.
Some more book covers I've done. Again, zombie stuff. Zombies in there too. This one's from Permuted Press. It's got a Cthulhu, Lovecraftian bit to it.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a different twist on the whole thing right there.
Yeah, and there's robots in it too, so you get this Asimov meets Lovecraft thing going. It's pretty cool. Very cool.
Really cool.
Yeah. And this, I think this was the first book cover I had published. Unfortunately, the imprint just went out of business, but it was fun. The original book was going to be 13 different authors, each author taking turns writing chapters, and they got it all done, they got it all edited, and one author decided to back out. So they loved the cover that they had commissioned from me, so they decided to take the cover and solicit for people to write stories that tied to or were based on this cover art. And then they put this book out instead.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. So
And when did that come out?
that came out, I believe, 3 years ago. Yeah. And they described this woman as an Aunt Bee type. So I don't know if you get the Aunt Bee connection there. But
A rotting corpse of an ant bee that's flesh-eating and cannibalistic.
yeah, she pops out and grabs her nephew, I think, during the ceremony, and that's the original story.
And Opie just goes down bad.
Doesn't he always, though?
Exactly. All right, so we got a bunch of really wicked art behind us. What's this all about?
Yeah. This one I originally did for a UK website called This Is Horror, and they collected short stories about what people thought of horror, you know, the authors and artists thought defined horror for them, and this is what I came up with. But I'm going to repurpose it for an art book that I'm putting out that I'll have for shows. I'll have at the Denver Comic Con for those of you that are going to be there.
I think that's my ex-wife, actually.
The doctor? She did that to you?
Exactly.
So this piece I called Nightmare, which
It fits in perfectly.
works, right? And then I've got a Lovecraftian piece here.
That's really cool.
You never see Cthulhu fly, so I wanted to be different. And I'm also going to use this for the cover of a sketchbook that I have coming out as well. So you'll see that on the front.
I got to get a copy of that one. That's awesome.
It's at the printer, so we'll have that real soon.
Right on.
And this is a piece called Hidden. Little devil in every child, right?
Yeah.
This is a digital painting. Going back to the techniques we were talking about, this last piece was all done in ink, and then the background and all the color was done digitally.
What programs do you use to?
I used Photoshop, and I have a Wacom Cintiq, which is a monitor that you draw on. So you have your main computer screen, and then you have this second screen that is pressure sensitive that you can draw directly onto and paint digitally.
Interesting. Okay.
So this piece here is all digital. I did a sketch initially, and then I scanned that in, and then painted over it in additional layers in Photoshop.
Nice. Very cool.
I babysit my granddaughter a lot, so this is kind of inspired by that. Sorry, Iris.
There's no honesty in that, right?
No, not at all. Well, maybe a little bit.
Just a little bit.
And then here I've got a piece called Saucer Man, which is painted in gouache. This was my very first gouache painting.
Okay.
And inspired by the 50B movies, you know. I got to meet Bob Burns. He's an old actor that worked in some of those movies. In fact, he was in one of the he was in the movie Invasion of the Saucer Men. He was one of the guys in the suits, and he's a historian. He's got just a basement full of old props, and
Really?
he's got the original time machine, and he's got props from When Worlds Collide and War of the Worlds, and all these great masks that Rick Baker made, and
Right.
just stuff from Star Wars, the Aliens franchise.
Oh.
Incredible collection of memorabilia. Props.
Wow, I got to check that out.
Yeah, very, very cool. And then here's a digital piece that is always my best seller at shows, and probably guess that's my most popular piece right there.
What's it called?
It's called Obsolete,
Oh, no.
and it's all digital. And I was just a little melancholy one day and decided I would do a robot that was broken inside.
Aww. Is the next one, I need a hug?
No, there's no hugging in horror.
There's no hugging in horror.
Unless you're in a corner somewhere crying, Jason, no.
There's face huggers, but no real hugs.
Right, exactly.
Well, cool, man. So what else are you working on these days? What do you got coming down the pike?
Well, I've got a webcomic called Hellbound that I did some work on for a few months last year, and it's been dormant for a few months now, but I'm going to be getting back to that soon. And I'm working with that local author, Lucas Holmes, on some short comics that we're going to collect and offer digitally as well as in print.
That's awesome. Now, what do you have planned for Denver Comic-Con?
Well, I'll have those books that I mentioned. Lots of new prints, lots of new art. I'll have my big display behind me again as I did last year. It's actually grown. Last year it was a 4-foot wide pegboard, and this year it is an 8x8 wire mesh frame thing. I'll have a lot of original framed art
That's really cool.
and lots of new prints.
Now, besides your own work and stuff, what are you into? What do you geek out on?
Oh, I love, I grew up watching Star Wars and Alien, and, I enjoy those old awful 50 B movies. I grew up watching the Godzilla films and War of the Worlds, Time Machine,
Right.
all those classics. I just love that stuff. I forgot to mention, I'm also part of a local draw blog called the Timberline Draw Blog.
Okay.
There's a couple dozen of us, and each week someone picks a new topic, and we draw that. And we're going to be doing a little promotion at the Denver Comic-Con. We're going to have trading cards with an image from each of the artists that are participating that has appeared on the draw blog. And we don't have all the specifics yet for prizes, but what we're doing is the artists that are participating are going to print up 40 cards, and those will be given out free at our tables. And once you collect a set, you'll visit a designated table. I don't know which artist it'll be yet, but we'll take your information. It'll go into a fishbowl kind of a thing. We'll draw names, and those people will get prizes. And I've offered to do an original piece, a commission piece for one of those winners.
Right on. That's really cool.
So we have that going on.
That's really cool.
I almost forgot to tell you. But that's one of the promotions we're going to be doing, and then I'm sure I'll come up with some exclusive print or something for the show as well. But I have half a dozen shows in between now and then, so
You're a busy guy, in other words.
yeah.
So how can people check out your work? Like, what are your websites?
Well, you can go to Robert Elrod, LLC.com, and I'll spell that out for you. RobertElrod, LLC.com. That's more of a portfolio site, but I've got a list of show appearances. I don't really have a storefront yet where I sell items of my own, but I have links to things like this, books that I've been published in, where you can get those. And I will be adding digital downloads of things like these new books that I have coming out, and the past comics. I have another mini that I didn't mention that's out of print. That I don't intend to print again, so those will be available digitally.
Oh, nice. So at least someone can get a hold of it.
Yeah, and
It's not lost.
I'll probably be offering previous year sketchbooks. I've had them for the last couple of years as well, so
Nice.
things like that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, dude.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Right on.
Thanks, Groovey.
This is Groovey. We're at Breckenridge Brewery. This is Robert Elrod, illustrator, just general badass artist dude who's going to be doing a bunch of cool stuff at Denver Comic-Con and drinking some beers with us.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, man. Cheers. Right on.